Hey, what's up, guys? It's Plainside 8 on, and in my last video, I talked a little bit about Wonder Woman's genealogy, and we found out that Ares is actually Wonder Woman's half brother and grandfather, which is pretty twisted, right? But I'd also mentioned that she's an incarnation of Ishtar, and in this video, I will be breaking that down for you. All right. So here we have an image of Wonder Woman, Ishtar, and Captain Marvel. And I want you guys to take a second and look at Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel and see if you can find any similarities. So, if you noticed, they're both dressed with a similar symbol, virtually the same symbol, and that is the Star of Ishtar, which is an 8-pointed star, and also the ancient symbol of Ishtar. So here we have the official Wikipedia page of the Star of Ishtar, and as you can see, it is an 8-pointed star, very similar to the one on Captain Marvel's chest and on Wonder Woman's headband. And it says here, the Star of Ishtar, or the Star of Inanna, is a symbol of the ancient Sumerian goddess Inanna and her East Semitic counterpart Ishtar. Alongside the lion, it was one of Ishtar's primary symbols. Because Ishtar was associated with the planet Venus, the star is also known as the Star of Venus. And we'll get into the whole Venus connection later on the video. Okay, so here we have an ancient tablet, or Kaduru, depicting Meli Shipak II. And you can clearly see the Star of Venus, or Star of Ishtar, above his head here. Okay. And it goes on to say, the Star of Inanna usually had 8 points, though the exact number of points sometimes varies. 6-pointed stars also occur frequently, but their symbolic meaning is unknown. And that goes into the whole fact that the 6-pointed star is not the Star of David, and that was never mentioned in the Bible. And I'll probably do a video about that too, the 6-pointed stars, and what they actually mean, or what they may actually mean. But anyway, the 8-pointed star was Inanna's most common symbol, and in later times it became the most common symbol of the goddess Ishtar. It seems to have originally borne a general association with the heavens, but by the old Babylonian period, it had come to be specifically associated with the planet Venus, with which Ishtar was identified. Starting during the same period, the Star of Ishtar was normally enclosed within a circular disk. So, by now, you must be wondering, well, who is this Ishtar? And what does she actually have to do with Wonder Woman? Other than this little symbol or whatever. Well, it turns out they have a lot in common. And the more I dug, the more stuff I found, which was actually kind of dreadful because I didn't want this video to be too long. So, now that we know Wonder Woman is indeed branded with the symbol of Ishtar, let's talk a little bit more about Ishtar herself. Okay? So, here, if you just do a quick Google search of Inanna-Ishtar, this is what you get. And I believe this is pulled from the Wikipedia page of the aforementioned. And it says, Ishtar is an ancient Mesopotamian goddess associated with love, beauty, sex, desire, fertility, war, justice, and political power. She was originally worshipped in Sumer and was later worshipped by the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians under the name Ishtar. Okay? So, a few of these things should just, if anyone knows anything about Wonder Woman, some of these things that Ishtar represents should pretty much stand out right away. I think the most obvious might be justice, As many of you may know, Wonder Woman was a part of DC's Justice League. So that's like a direct correlation right there. And the other ones that we're going to talk about would be political power, love, sex, and war. Beauty, that's a given, right? Can't have a female superhero if she's not beautiful. Anyways, according to Britannica.com, Ishtar is considered to be a goddess of war and sexual love, as we just previously went over. But it also says here that she is sometimes regarded as the daughter of the sky god An. And that's important because An is basically Zeus in the Mesopotamian religion. And if you go to An's Wikipedia page, you'll be redirected to Anu. And it says, he's the divine personification of the sky, the supreme god and the ancestor of all the deities in the ancient Mesopotamian religion. Anu was believed to be the supreme source of all authority for all the other gods and all mortal rulers. So basically, it's Zeus. And if you even scroll down and go to where it says Greek equivalent, it tells you his Greek equivalent is Zeus and Uranus. So there you have it. Ishtar's father, An, or Anu, is the Mesopotamian equivalent of Zeus, who was Wonder Woman's father. Ishtar is also said to be the goddess of Venus. It says Ishtar is also to a greater extent an astral deity associated with the planet Venus. With Shamash, the sun god, and Sin, the moon god, she forms a secondary astral triad. In this manifestation, her symbol is a star with 6, 8, or 16 rays within a circle. As goddess of Venus, delighting in bodily love, Ishtar was the protectress of prostitutes and the patroness of the alehouse. So, Venus, the Temple of Venus, there's actually many strip clubs and dance clubs worldwide that have this name because in ancient times, the Temple of Venus was a place where patrons would come and exchange offerings for sexual favors. The writers and creators of Wonder Woman will straight up tell you who she is and what she represents, so it's not like they're trying to hide it. And we're going to watch part of this interview of this guy, Phil Jimenez, who worked on the Wonder Woman comics for a few years. And let's see what he has to say about Wonder Woman in this video.
Do you think that Wonder Woman has played a role in culture sort of beyond the comics? Like, has she influenced pop culture, and in what ways do you feel like she has?
One of the interesting things to me about Wonder Woman is what she speaks about. Unlike Superman or Batman, again, who tend to be sort of alpha and or beta male fantasies of a certain kind, Wonder Woman at her core speaks about 2 or 3 things. One is sex, and one is war, and then one is the sort of intersection of both.
See what I mean? He says Wonder Woman speaks to sex and war. And he's not talking about gender when he says sex, and I prove that when we look a little bit deeper into Mr. Jimenez and his views about Wonder Woman. But for now, we're going to watch a little bit more of this, see what he has to say.
I had the most interesting conversation with a young woman who was talking about the warrior imagery of Wonder Woman, which has never really appealed to me in the same way that the kind of flashier, more drag queen identity of Wonder Woman has. And she was explaining to me that the symbolism of a woman who is willing to war against a culture who will war against them is very powerful. And I had never really thought about it that way, but I loved that she was owning it, and she was saying, no, I'm okay with that. You might not be, but you don't have to be. These characters can speak to us in any number of ways. And so you can have your sort of flashy disco version that you can play in a gay bar. I want someone who represents to me a force to be reckoned with, and someone who's going to change a culture that doesn't see me as equal.
It is interesting to read Wonder Woman as sort of inherently political.
I actually argue that Wonder Woman is an inherently political character for 2 or 3.
And remember, guys, we also went over that Ishtar is also regarded as a goddess of political power. So just keep that in mind when he says what he's going to say here.
3 reasons. One, the time of her creation. She was created in the 1940s and created as a sort of political force. She spoke about certain things, ranging from anti-Nazism, pro-American ideals, to this sort of proto-feminist idea that women can not only do what men can, but sometimes they can do it better, which trying to imagine that in 1941 still blows my mind. And then, of course, you have a female character, which, unfortunately, like it or not, is inherently political. Wonder Woman bears the burden, more than Superman or Batman ever will, of succeeding primarily because she's a woman.
So what is your favorite Wonder Woman story that you didn't work on?
All right, so another thing that ties her into the whole political power aspect of Ishtar is the fact that in 2016, the UN appointed Wonder Woman as the honorary ambassador for the empowerment of women and girls. No, I'm not making this up. This is the official website of the United Nations. You can check it yourself. And they have since rescinded this title from her. But, I mean, there you go, guys, man. Do I even have to keep making this video, or have I proved my point by now? So she's actually held an office of political power in the real world, so that's not just symbolic, that's actually like putting it into practice. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at a more detailed explanation of Phil Jimenez's views on Wonder Woman. And I have an article from themarysue.com. And it says, Jimenez spent 2 years working on DC's Wonder Woman title, so he's got a pretty good handle on the Amazon princess. CBR asked him to speak a bit about Wonder Woman's sexuality as he sees it. And he says, I think sex is part and parcel of Wonder Woman's creation. I think she and the Amazons were very much intended to explore all sorts of themes surrounding love and sex and gender, and sex and power. Huh. What does that remind me of? Anyway, he says, the tragedy, of course, is that over the decades, this aspect of her character has been minimized considerably. It's been touched upon here and there, but now the character has been refocused into a goddess of war, instead of a symbol of love. Oh, Ishtar, or Venus. That's who we're talking about here, right? The goddess of war and goddess of sexual love and political power. These are all different aspects of Ishtar. And notice he uses that word here, aspect, which in religious terms is defined as the representation of the different ancient gods and goddesses. And the different aspects of Ishtar, as we know, are sexual love, power. She was also said to be the goddess of the alehouse and prostitutes. And these are all different aspects of Ishtar. And they just so happen to be the same aspects of Wonder Woman, so we're going to keep reading here. It says, the tragedy, of course, is that over the decades, this aspect of her character has been minimized considerably. It's been touched upon here and there, but her character has been refocused into a goddess of war instead of a symbol of love. Again, there are commercial and historic reasons for this. And in parentheses, it says, seduction of the innocent anyone. And I don't know what that means. Maybe they're referring to the fact that this is supposed to be a child-friendly character, and here they're telling you she's all about sex and represents all this other deviant stuff. So I don't know if that was put here by the writer of the article, or if Phil Jimenez said that himself. I'm not sure, Anyways, it says, again, there are commercial and historic reasons for this, as well as creative ones. But I agree with Mark Waid, who lamented that by stripping the sex from Wonder Woman, you've stripped something really essential from her character, and really the most interesting thing about her. Heck, this is my argument for the bathing suit costume. That costume is all about sex. Sexual power, sexual defiance, body freedom, and absence of shame. Of course not. Of course it's not practical. No superhero costume is. It's a symbol of something else. And he just told us what the symbol of something else is. I mean, why do you think they put the Star of Ishtar right on Wonder Woman's forehead in the Hollywood production? They're putting it right in front of your face. They're not hiding it. And your children dress up as Wonder Woman on Halloween, and here you have these weirdos telling you here that costume's all about sex, sexual power, and absence of shame. So you need to watch this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty wicked. It's pretty wicked. And you have seduction of the innocent. I guess we see what they're talking about there. It's just disgusting. And if you think this is just one writer saying this, then you're wrong. And I'll show you that here in a second. And I also have a clip that will cover the exploits of Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman is probably the most famous female superhero in the world. As most people know, she is the princess of an island filled with Amazon warrior women, called Themyscira. The island is purely for women, as men are not allowed there, though exceptions have been made in the past. Since there are no men on the island, it does raise the question of whether Wonder Woman has slept with one of the other Amazons, but whether she has done this or not is anyone's guess. I've never read about it, but it would make sense. After all, if there are no men, she has no alternatives. Though maybe that's why Amazons fight so much and are so angry all the time, pent-up sexual tension. Though in the New 52 comics, it is revealed that the Amazons reproduce by raiding ships that come near the island, sleeping with all the men on the ship to get pregnant, then killing all the men. It's pretty messed up. Though as far as I know, Wonder Woman never took part in this. But in any case, Wonder Woman has slept with several men. The first was Steve Trevor.
Oh man, this is too good to be true. And it is.
Steve Trevor was the first man that Wonder Woman ever saw, so naturally it was the first man that she was ever with. It does make sense that she would be enchanted with the first man she ever saw. After all, when you've never seen something before, the first time is often the most captivating.
What other depraved thoughts must you be thinking?
God, your daughter's got a nice rack.
She was with Steve Trevor in many different versions of the character, including the TV series Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Have to say, being a secret agent is a cinch when you've got a super-powered girlfriend.
I wouldn't know.
And the main continuity of the DC comics. In the New 52 comics, Steve Trevor is in love with Wonder Woman, but apparently they never took it to the next level of a relationship. He is just her UN liaison. In the Justice League comic book, the two discuss it, and it is almost stated that she does have feelings for him, but that she isn't with Steve Trevor, not because she doesn't care for him, but in order to protect him. She is invulnerable, but he is not, and she feels that if Steve Trevor is with her, then she is putting him in harm's way. Live-action movie Wonder Woman, Steve Trevor is played by Chris Pratt, with her being played by Gal Gadot. So how could they not end up sleeping together? They are both impossibly beautiful. In the New 52 comics and the New 52 animated films, Wonder Woman and Superman have been dating. They also date in the Injustice video game as well. So Superman and Wonder Woman have slept together in 3 different mediums. It's actually the perfect couple in my mind. Superman and Wonder Woman have also had children together in certain versions of the characters. In Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Strikes Again, they have a daughter named Lara, after Superman's Kryptonian mother. They had a son together in the comics Superman Distant Fires, and in the graphic novel Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross, the two had a family. It is actually pretty similar to Injustice in that the Joker kills Lois, and then Superman and Wonder Woman get together. Though these are all alternative universes, and in the main DC canon of the comics, the two of them don't have a family, they're just dating. Batman and Wonder Woman have often been set up as a couple, especially in the classic TV series Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. They were built up as a will they won't they type couple. Unfortunately, they never actually dated officially in the show, and though they have kissed,
Sorry.
Don't be.
They never seem to have gone as far as to sleep with one another in the show's universe, although it wouldn't surprise me if they had, as there was certainly a strong attraction between the two.
Diana's a remarkable woman. She's a valued friend. She's standing right behind me, isn't she?
Don't let that stop you. Keep digging.
But in the Injustice comic series, Superman is put into a magically induced coma that shows him a dream of an alternate reality in which the Joker didn't kill Lois and Superman didn't kill the Joker. Batman killed the Joker instead. And in this reality, Batman and Wonder Woman end up getting married, which of course means the marriage is consummated, though this is just a dream sequence, but it is actually quite nice to see the two of them finally together. There was also a romance between her and Nemesis, real name Tom Tresser, and though they did knock boots, it kind of died when he realised Wonder Woman didn't really love him and was just using him. It wasn't really a great romance, and it did last a while, but it never really took off for the fans. The two basically met through work, and it just went on from there. There was also another brief romance with Trevor Barnes. This did not last long at all, and he soon was killed off. But there was a short romance between the two, so it's possible that they did hook up together. And in the Flashpoint Paradox, not the CW Flash TV series, but the Flashpoint comic book series and the animated movie based on it, Wonder Woman actually sleeps with Aquaman in a fit of wild passion. Unfortunately, they are seen by Aquaman's wife, Mira, who then later tries to kill Wonder Woman, only to have her head cut off by Wonder Woman and sent back to Aquaman, which is what led to the war between the Atlanteans and the Amazons and the destruction of most of Europe, and then later pretty much the whole world, until of course the Flash set things right. And that is all of the men that Wonder Woman has slept with.